Welcome to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. I had lots of conversations recently about hip hop, as I normally do. I'm talking about sneakers or hip hop or sports, but we talked about, what makes a song, and obviously what makes a great song, and obviously part of it is the lyricism or the message or the rhyme or flow cadence. Definitely another factor in that is obviously the production and the beat behind it, because no one's going to really listen to a song, and they've talked many times about Nas not having the best production, and his some of his messages have been lost. But he's on a good run right now with Hit Boy. That will be another episode. But let's what's also unique is not only just the lyricism and the flow of the MC, but it's the voice in the words of Gangstar that gets you up, the voice that it makes you buck. A lot of rappers got flavor and some got skills, but if the voice ain't dope, you need to chill. Let me run that. Let me run that so you guys can hear it.
Mostly the voice that gets you up. Mostly the voice that makes you buck. A lot of rappers got flavor and some got skills, but if the voice ain't dope, then you need to chill.
That's it. From the legendary uh Gifted Unlimited Rhymes Universal, otherwise known as Guru. Guru is the one that probably has expressed this better than any other MC in the history of hip hop. So we talk about voice, we got to start with Guru. So Guru, and if we were doing a top 10, and I think it is so difficult to even do a top 10, let's just do ones that I'm going to mention. I'll mention at least 10. We'll start with Guru. So Guru, slow flow. I wouldn't even say nasal like Q-Tip, and Q-Tip would also be on the list. But it's so unique. It matches his rhyme style, and is truly one of the when you hear Guru, you don't confuse him with any other rapper. You know that you're listening to Guru, and whether it was Jazzmatazz or the many classic albums created by Gangster Unit was a Gangstar joint. I mentioned Q-Tip, so let's go there. So Q-Tip solo projects, most remembered and revered by his incredible work um, with Fife and Ali, Shaheed Muhammad, and Jarobi as part of the legendary group A Tribe Called Quest. So Q-Tip sounds a little nasal. I was talking about it not too long ago about how dope he was um in helping Mobb Deep kind of create the Infamous, and he jumped on a track, and though it didn't match the topic of some of the other the other two MCs in the song, it was totally dope nonetheless, and really gave the song a whole new flavor. He probably rhymed at maybe a cadence that he doesn't always rhyme at, but it sounded just absolutely incredible. And if you don't know the songs Drink Away the Pain, and Q-Tip flips his verse and talks about clothing brands, so it is pretty dope. Next person that I have to mention, you can't talk about voices and the combination that with flows without mentioning the next two. So you got Method Man, part of Wu-Tang Clan, one of the most unique voices we've ever heard. And then we got Snoop Dogg. So Snoop in his laid back West Coast flow, but when he wants to get in and get after, he can definitely do that. So the versatility of both of these guys is second to none. And again, there's no mistaking who these two MCs are. Snoop Dogg is one of the most recognizable artists in the history of the world. I'm not just talking about hip hop, and culturally, help bring West Coast music and West Coast hip hop to the main stage. I wouldn't say to life, because it existed for a long time and people didn't know about it, but really brought it to the forefront. And then Method Man, obviously, with the resurgence of boom bap, hip hop during the 90s, you definitely had a feel from a different part of New York, Staten Island, where Wu-Tang as one of the members, and obviously he's gone on to do solo projects, movies, TV shows. He is one of the most recognizable hip hop artists now. Like if you've seen him work out, like this guy benches like 350 pounds, he squats like almost 400, if not more. So Method Man is a beast on the mic and beast in life. So, but he would be another one. Then you got Slick Rick. So Slick Rick with his influence from England. But we know we've gotten Children's Story, Lottie Dottie. You know, Slick Rick is an absolute icon when we talk about lyricism and influence. You know, when you talk from Nas to so many other MCs, Slick Rick is a massive influence. And then I got to put these two guys literally in the same sentence. We got Grand Puba and Sadat X. You know, with Lord Jamal and DJ Alamo, this was Brand Nubian. They've all gone off to do their own projects. Brand Nubian continued after Grand Puba left, but both gentlemen, Sadat X and Grand Puba, sound like no one you've ever heard, and is so incredibly unique. You know, we fast forward into a couple people that are from, you know, more people would recognize in today's era. Lil Wayne and Eminem would be two other MCs that totally have, particularly to me, Lil Wayne. And you talk about the series, the Carter albums, and there's so many great songs, including maybe my favorite Lil Wayne song, which is Millie. I just get amped every single time I hear it. But he sounds like nobody else. He's totally different and extremely unique. You know, Lil Wayne's not a big man, but his voice definitely packs a punch. And then maybe the most gritty voice we've ever heard on a mic is the undisputed champion of I was gonna say Drink Champs, but it's not Drink Champs, is Versus. Because we saw the quote unquote burial of Dipset when our New York favorite Jadakiss took the mic and literally took Locks and put him on his back, and they absolutely blew Dipset out of the water. He is raspy, he is grimy, and has one of the best voices we've ever heard. You know, we got DMX that definitely needs to be mentioned. We got Busta Rhymes, and Busta Rhymes has evolved so much when we talk about voices, you know, from, you know, we got, you know, him literally screaming on the mic, you know, from the days of Scenario, when he guest appeared with Tribe Called Quest, that really had him take off. Then you got the slow flow, but you know, it's literally almost he's whispering in your ear when you think of the Janet Jackson song. And then you go fast forward today to, you know, to Extinction 2 that came out a couple years ago. Truly can like just rap his ass off. And then we can't, you know, and I just did say DMX, but DMX sounds like nobody else. And from the songs he done, like, you know, to have in, and I think it was like 98, that was the year of DMX. And, you know, Nas had an album that year. Jay-Z had an album that year, many others, but DMX put out 2 albums that year, and definitely, you know, holds the title of being the MC of the year of 1998. So absolutely unbelievable. You definitely can obviously mention Biggie, you can mention Tupac, and both of those sounded different. Both of are 2 of the great hip-hop icons we've ever heard. KRS-One, sound like, you know, there's no one ever been more braggadocious or boisterous and big in a room, big on the mic as KRS-One. And then the slow flow, but crafted masterfully, would be Rakim. You definitely have to take that. I also would throw Kool G Rap. That sounds like, you know, we obviously we talk about guys like Big Daddy Kane and Craig G and many others, but Kool G Rap does not get enough credit when we talk about lyricism and influence on the borough of Queens. But his voice sounds like is bananas. It's like he like another MC that I will mention, like like their voice sounds like they're fighting you. And that the other person I would mention is none other than the Mike Tyson himself, rest in peace, to the late Sean Price from Boot Camp Click, from Hell to Skelter. Sean Price was a beast and literally sounded like if a grizzly bear could rap, it would be Sean Price. And then a couple other names I got on the list. Too Short has to be mentioned. CeeLo Green also has to be mentioned in terms of a unique voice. But maybe the best voice that we've ever heard, and maybe the smoothest, is Nate Dogg. Nate Dogg is absolutely. Now we think about Exhibit and how gritty Exhibit sounds like. Exhibit sounds like so like he sounds like, you know, if you compare him to some of the East Coast art, you could feel like Exhibit was an East Coast artist and not a West Coast guys, because the West Coast guys have been generally over time have been, you know, smoother. But Nate Dogg is absolutely incredible, and has such a unique voice, that it definitely has to be mentioned. And, you know, when we talk about, you know, maybe someone before Nate Dogg, I would 100% put one Ice Cube on the list, as unique voices. And yeah, like I don't know if there's anyone ever been angrier on the mic. Maybe, I mean, maybe Billy Dance and Fame from MOP, but you know, hitting you with the knowledge, but really getting in on the mic. You definitely got to mention Ice Cube. But when you start talking about you know, Ice Cube, maybe one of the first nasal kind of he was like, you know, and we know Ice Cube wrote his material in many cases, is Eazy-E. So, you know, Eazy-E, I wouldn't say he was the best lyricist, in particular when Ice Cube left NWA, it was a totally different show. But Eazy has to be mentioned is one of the unique voices. Now there's a lot of guys in today's day and age, you know, some would say Drake sounds different than anybody else. Others would go with Joey Badass as being someone you know, very unique. But there's just so many. It's so hard to name a list. But I definitely would say some of the notables that I look at the list of names that I wrote down. And this wouldn't be an official top 10 voice, but you couldn't have a list without DMX, Eazy-E, Guru, Q-Tip, Snoop Dogg, Slick Rick, Nate Dogg, Jadakiss, Lil Wayne, and then you think of Sadat and Puba being almost one and the same but different. Like it's so hard to eliminate those guys off any top 10 voice. But hey, when you hear the pod, hopefully this leads to discussion. You think about it. Who would you have on your list as top 10 voices? Who are the MCs that have impacted you the most? If you talk about singing, you know, some people are in the Whitney Houston camp, others are in the Mariah Carey camp. There's a lot of people that can sing a ballad, but hip hop's a little bit different. And those are some of the most unique voices that you heard. So thanks again for listening. Hopefully it starts up a great debate of you thinking about who do you love and how they get down on the MIC. But again, another episode of Sneak Sounds in Life, holding it down in Toronto. We call it the 6 here. But hip hop is global. And there's so many great voices out there, you know, from You know, you think of what we have in Canada with Drake and Maestro and Choclair and Socrates over the golden era, and to today. You think of Devin the Dude. You think of even the influence that Slick Rick and MF Doom. And then you think of the South and the West, and whether it's Andre 3000 or it's Easy E or Nate Dogg. There's so many amazing voices, and then there's voices that we haven't heard. And I'm sure we got rappers in Asia, like we had Kish here from Canada, but had Asian influence. My boy Nish Rocks is also a dope MC that's here from Canada, and his family's from Japan. And then obviously, what was the guy's name that was on 106 in Park? Let me just look it up. I can't end the episode without because he was like the freestyle champ, and he was Freestyle Friday was the show. And you definitely can't forget. My boy's name was Jin, and he put out some stuff after time, but it never really captured like it did on 106 in Park. I think probably if we talk about 106 in Park real quick, as we wrap up, Jin, and then my boy Blind Fury from like 10 years ago. This guy couldn't see, and he ate people's food. So, but again, a voice along with the lyricism, along with the beat and the collaboration between the two really makes a song. So have a great debate. Let's chop it up in the comments. But Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life, much appreciated, much love, and we'll talk to you all very soon. Peace.